Hey guys, thanks for tuning into the Bayside Fabrication YouTube channel. I've been crazy busy lately. I know I've been slacking on videos, but I got family stuff going on and I've had a ton of orders, and I'm really excited to show you this right now. This is going to be our, I think it's gonna be like a 4-day build here, and we have to do a complete roll cage, more or less complete roll cage. It's pretty much just gonna be a 6-point drift cage to get our buddy, Cleetus McFarland, up to LS Fest. So you guys might know this car is Donnie, and Donnie is here, a little wounded, but we are going to tear it apart and get a cage built so he can do some tandem drift action in about a week. So pretty pumped to work in this thing. Let's get into it. First things first, we get this interior taken out and see what we're working with here. Day one of Donnie the drift car. So we're doing a quick cage for this because this has to be done in 4 days so it can go to LS Fest and he can do some tandem drifting. So with any cage, we start with the basics. This one, it actually has been pretty straightforward so far. All we do is take out the interior and any items that we don't need. So this is gonna be a 4130 chromoly cage, 1.5" tubing for the pretty much the whole thing as far as I'm looking now. We are going to do a main hoop. Okay, we're just going to do door bars for now. I would like to add a roof bar, but I don't think that's in the cards because I have to pull the dash and things like that, and that I don't think time is going to work on our side. He contacted the event organizers. They said that's not necessary, just door bars. So main hoop, we're just looking at where we're going to go. So this is my first time working on a Corvette. These are fiberglass and steel frame cars. A fiberglass body, steel frame. So on this one, I think I'm gonna make towers here, okay? So we're gonna have steel towers come off this main frame channel because this floor, there's not much here. This is just a composite panel. And on Ruby, I noted they just through bolted their main hoop and plated it on the backside. So instead of doing that on this one, I am going to weld to the frame channel instead of through bolting because I think that's just a better approach on this car, and it's going to be pretty straightforward. It's just going to be a very basic cage, so if we have time, we'll add all sorts of additional stuff, and he said just go for it, do as much as you can do, but the main goal here is to get him authorized to do tandem drifting in 4 days from now. So that's what we're doing. I'm going to hustle on this. Let me show you how I make a main hoop. So what I always do is I have a pre-bent piece of tubing we're going to use. So this is 1.5" chromoly, and I bend a 90 degree, okay? And you'll see where this tape line is, that is where my bend initiates. When I'm doing one-off deals like this, I like to make a cardboard template and then bend my tubing according to the template, because I know if the template's tight and the template fits in the car, it's definitely going to fit once the tubing is lined up with a template. So with that being said, for example, you'll see I made a mark here and I made a mark here, and that's how it's gonna fit, right? So I'll bend this angle. Obviously this is 90, so I'll bend up to whatever this angle winds up being. I have to measure that, and that's really how simple it is. Now, this cardboard template does take a little bit of time. So this is pretty much how it's gonna sit in the car, you know, up against the roof like that. Now, Garrett's a particularly tall guy, so we're going to use the reference of these seat bolt mounts as a guide to where the harness or where the main hoop needs to be. So in Ruby, the main hoop sits pretty much on the back side of this flange here. Sits right on the back side of that flange, so that's what I'm going to aim for. He's very comfortable in that car. It fits him perfectly. There's no issue with the roll bar over his head and creating a height issue for him, so that's what we're going to do. All right, guys, just so I can show you what we're doing here, here's our center line on our template. Here's our first bend mark, and this is how our tube sits. So as you can see, this is the very inside of the vehicle, and we are hugging right along this. And if we go and stay true to our template, there's no reason why this shouldn't fit. This is why I do it this way. It's a little more time consuming, But for me, you do it once, you do it right, especially at $7 a foot. There's no need to make mistakes. We again have our tube. So that's where we're gonna start our second bend, right there. We're looking for 40. All right, guys, hard part's done. We got our main hoop installed. Now it's just obviously temporarily in here. So we are hitting here on the bottom. We are hitting here at the seatbelt mount, and we're pretty much hugging as tight as we can all up to the top and to the main hoop. So I'm pretty happy with how that turned out. I'm going to create the box in now, so I'll have to clean up all this seam sealer off of here. And now that we know our main hoop fits, we're in good shape. I mainly wanted to make sure our main hoop fits because it's Labor Day weekend. And this car is going out Tuesday, and nobody's open from, well, pretty much an hour from now until Tuesday morning. So if I needed to go get more tubing, if I messed something up, I mean, I did grab more tubing. I grabbed another full length actually just to have around. But if we were to mess something up or anything like that, then it could be a problem. So I try to think ahead on situations like this because, you know, God forbid I messed up a bend or something and it's 5:05 on a Friday. We're dead in the water, and then it would be very unlikely that this would be on its way to LS Fest. So we just, we try to do those things, to try to just be smart and, you know, plan ahead a little bit here. So now that we know the main hoop fits and where it's going to go, which pretty much it hugs this side right here, we have to get the seat in. This is why it's critical to have seats in beforehand. Now he's going to go with a Kirky on this side, and hopefully it's going to work out too with the Corbu that he has on the other side as a passenger seat. Worst case scenario, if that Corbu doesn't fit, we can just toss another Kirky and that's not going to be a problem. What we're doing now is we got to make our towers. And in order to make the towers, we have to know this distance. We cannot go wider than this on our towers, which is 3 inches. Chili.
Chili? You put in the fridge?
I'll grab the chili, all right, pal. Nothing like cold chili. All right, so you just saw me shear off these plates and that little shear I got. So that's how they're gonna go. Well, our mounts are finished, guys. Check it out. So this is what we wound up with. So that's it. It just sits like this. And we are ready to rock and roll. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pop this top back off. I'm gonna seam up the welds here on the bottom. And then we will weld from the inside because we certainly will not be able to get from the back side or from the underneath. So we'll just buzz what we can on the inside of everything here, and we're gonna be good to go. So I do want to say with this hoop installed that the hard part is over. It is day 2 of Donnie the Drift Cars quick cage, I'm gonna call it. Okay, so this is what we have set up now. Now, I was explaining to you yesterday what we have going on, but it's easier just to see it. So what I did is I shimmed up, I took a piece of scrap wood, I cut a little notch in it, and then I shimmed this main hoop up. So this hoop is stuffed up high as we can get to the headliner area. So it is touching right here and over there. So that's pretty much as high as it's gonna go. And Garrett wanted it in pretty much this plane. So we're gonna more or less be in that area. Let me show you here. Oh, the ratchet strap, you might be wondering. I actually put a little tension on this because it was really tight against the car here. So I just pulled it in just a little bit just to free it up and center the tube onto the plate. So here's my plate, and this is just very simple way how to go and measure what this angle and where this cut needs to be. So I just take a piece of flat here. And that's it. All right guys, I'm in the car now. We got the main hoop tacked in place, just one tack on each side, nice and lightly in there. And now what we're going to do is measure for the harness bar. Because he is so tall, we're gonna go to the top of the cutouts. So our harness bar is going to be 13.5 inches from the bottom of the main hoop to the top of the harness bar. So what I'm gonna do now is bring a level or a straight edge in here. We'll mark that off. So as you can see, the main hoop would interfere if we just went straight with a harness bar, would interfere with the seat. So we're gonna have to make a radius on that. We'll probably set it back like 3 or 4 inches. So the harness bar will come back and loop around just a little bit. All right, well, we've got a harness bar in place. That's pretty much, the seat's a little crooked, but you get the idea. It's exactly where I wanted the harness to be, pretty much at the top of the cutouts here. It's kind of hard to see because of the angle. And then let me go to the other side here. And that's our back spacing now. Gained us about, I don't know, let's say 3 inches. Working on the rear down tubes now. Just want to show you what we did. Of course, today was the day I forgot to, or I did not have my shop vac in, so now there's fiberglass dust all over the place on the hottest day of the year. So that's pretty cool. But other than that, here's our frame that we're landing on. And I have these, we probably could weld right to this. This is really thick frame material, but I have these pre-cut, I think they're 3-inch, 3/16 plate. I would like to do 1/8 inch, but this will work just fine. So I'm going to open this up just a little bit on this side, and we're going to just buzz these on, and that'll give us a really strong base plate. But that's where we're going to land, and that's what we're aiming for on the rear down tubes here. Let me show you. Oh my God, I'm too tall for this. So what I'm using is a 17 series torch. You notice electrical tape, I had a little bit of crack there that I thought was leaking gas at one point, so I'll disregard that. But I use this finger switch. This finger switch makes all the difference when you're doing a cage like this. Otherwise, you're gonna have to use a foot switch, and that's a total pain. So we're just gonna tack this bar in place. We got a couple decent tacks there. Now we're gonna make sure the seat still fits. All of our clearance looks good. And we're gonna get ready to pull this thing back out and weld the whole thing up. By the whole thing, I mean the whole main hoop without the rear tubes. And we'll be able to do that inside on a bench completely separate, throw the main hoop back in, and it'll hit all those spots that we won't be able to reach otherwise. So that's what I was talking about, guys. It's all ready to weld up. We've made it to day 3 on Donnie the drift car. All right, check this out, guys. I just thought of something I want to share with you. I'm just about to get these main, or the 2 down tubes tacked in. But before that, I need to get this all kind of in place where the main hoop wants to live. I'm just gonna tack it here. And what we'll do is, this top plate on this box, all I gotta do is zip this tack right here, and then we can drop the cage into this box and weld the top sides of our tubes. So that's the plan. And I just had an idea. I haven't really done it before, but it's actually a good idea now that I think about it. So see this space back here? That's pretty tight. Now what I don't want to do is work myself into a position where this hoop is all the way up and I can't weld on the back side of that. So what I'm doing is taking my MIG gun, I'm putting my MIG gun nozzle on the back side of this, and then getting it kind of snug. That way, Now I know I can weld on the back side of this and not be an issue. I used to kind of eyeball, and I've been in situations before where it's like, oh, that looks good. And the next thing you know, your MIG gun doesn't fit and you got problems. So we want to avoid problems, but yeah, just something I thought I'd share with you guys that I've never done before, but it makes sense to me. So just want to show you what I'm working on right now. I'm getting the front boxes welded to the car. So this is what I came up with. It's a 6-inch by 3-inch box, and it's going to be right in line with here. I actually welded up the other side already. And what I'm going to do is, since you can't access the bottom just like on the back side, we weld from the inside, and we'll weld from the inside on that one. It's just easier to get at. This one will buzz from the outside, and then once it's all welded, we'll throw our little top on, and that's the end of it. Well, we're pretty much complete here. So you can see these door bars. I threw a kick in them. Garrett wanted a little extra elbow room, so we made that happen. We will have to likely take out this and or notch this a little bit. That's no big deal. But now it's gonna be the fun part. So there's a couple things here I want to show you. Now we have to be able to access the back. Ooh, that's hot. I just welded that. Now we have to access the back side of that. We also have to access the top of these. So what we're gonna do is cut our tacks on the hoop and this plate and drop this down and try to move it forward here. This is the key to what I was saying. Now we have full access to weld here, okay? So we're gonna weld 360 the top on those, set it back into place, and then we'll finish welding it to the, we'll finish welding the sides, slide it back, weld it to our mounting points. This thing's pretty much done for now. Just want to share with you real quick what I'm using for filler rod and for my tungsten. I know we talked about our torch a little bit. For the tungsten, I'm using a 2% thoriated, 3/32 in diameter tungsten. And for the filler rod, I'm using 1/16 ER80 filler rod. We're in a situation right now. I just went to go weld that, and it's a little weird. The filler rod is too long. So here's a little trick that you can do. Just give it a little radius. I mean, if you TIG weld, you know this is pretty common stuff, but this will be able to get you up and over certain areas. And again, I use the pulse setting when I do cages, especially when you're in odd positions like this. I find it gives you a more consistent weld. Plus, since we're using the finger switch here, it's a lot more controlled. There we go. These tubes are done. The old through the window move. So let's get this bar back in place, and let's get these door bars welded on and get this thing buttoned up. All right, we're done with the cage at least. Day 3, cage is finished for now. I'm really gonna try to talk him into adding roof bars, and hopefully we can do that once he gets back from LS Fest, but this is exactly what they said he needed, so we made it happen for him. Nothing too fancy, pretty simple, lightweight. So now all we have to do is get our seats installed. We are hitting here, so we gotta trim the door panels and stuff to make room. We're actually not too bad. We only need to trim about, I don't know, 1.5 inches off. This handle will make a big difference. So I'm gonna do that now and get these doors settled. We are gonna keep the speakers. Cleetus said he listens to music while he's drifting. Dang, we got some weather coming in. My easy up almost took off on me, but we're cool. Got it down in time. So just want to go over where we're at right now. I'm about to head out of here. We got that door all trimmed up. Let me go check that out with you guys. So we got the door trimmed out for the front bar, the door bar. 8 out of 10. So all we have to do is match the other side, which I'm going to do right now, and then I'm gonna get out of here. Catch up with you guys in the morning. Day 4 here with Donnie, but we're wrapping it up right now. So the cage is done, painted. Garrett just got here, so we're waiting on him to get settled down with a project he has going on. And then we're going to test fit him with a seat. We are currently going to use this as the passenger seat, and we got 2 brand new Kirkies. As of now, I think we're only going to install the driver's side Kirky, and then when he comes back and we have time, we'll install the other Kirky on the other side. It's just one of those things, we got a crunch time. This car is hurt in the rear end, so that needs to be addressed too. So we kind of need to just wrap this up and move it along so they can move forward on the rest of it. But came out good. I'm gonna notch the carpets and things like that right now and just get this thing buttoned up. All right, just finishing up the seat here. Now I want to show you how I did this. I drilled through the seat, through the floor, okay? And what I'm gonna do on the front is do a crossbar that's gonna be welded to here and welded to the trans tunnel. Let me show you underneath how we did this. So I cut 2 4-inch plates. We through bolted, and then I had to grind down the factory seat mount, which was right here. And then what we're gonna do is just buzz a little weld here, center here. And then this is obviously fiberglass right here. So we can't do much with that. However, for this seat to technically fail, you would have to pull 2 4-inch pieces through the steel, through the fiberglass, and that ain't happening. So this is gonna work out well. For the submarine belt, we're going to just do 1 plate here, through bolt it the same way, and it'll just be through the fiberglass, but that'll be a 3-inch square, and that will be centered there. So that's how we're gonna do that. It'll be nice and simple, and I'm gonna buzz this up now, and you can watch that happen. That's it. Simple as that. Now let's get that crossbar done, get the seat mount, and get this buttoned up. Working on the seat now, guys. And if you've seen any of my previous videos, you'll know that seat installs are actually kind of involved, especially with aluminum seats like this, because you need to do a back brace as well. And this is what we came up with for a back brace on this car. So this is going to be the plate that through bolts through the seat. And you notice I put a little kick in it to accommodate this seam. And what that is going to do, this plate, we bolt it to the seat now. And then we have this plate in here, which I made. And we're gonna weld this plate to this part of the car, which is a pretty strong area. And then we will just put a tube in between here and the back plate once we get our final position. And that's it. We'll weld it all up, unbolt the seat, and then the seat's bolted here, the 2 floor mounts, and we'll have 2 more mounts up front, which I'm going to show you right now. We are sitting right now at the exact angle that Garrett wants, and what I have is a couple 3-inch squares here, and then this piece of 1-inch tubing. Now it's going to be very difficult to do this. Let's see if I can set this up. Well, guys, it's as simple as that. We're gonna get our seat back in place here, make sure everything's lined up, then we'll tack, pull our seat back out, seam it all up, drill our holes, mount it, done. All finished up. We got our seat bracket mounted, we got our back brace mounted. This was not as strong as I had hoped, actually. I was able to kind of push this in a little bit, like move it. So I decided to add this tube from the harness bar, and now it's solid as a rock. So I'm glad I did that. It's a little, I mean, I wish I could have done it a little better, but it's fine, it'll work. And we need to get this moving and get a coat of paint on this right now, get the carpets reinstalled, get the seats in, and we're good. I always kid myself when seats and harnesses and say it's not a big deal, it only takes a couple minutes. Reality is it takes a day, but we're done. I'm gonna wash the car up right now because it's filthy and vacuum it, and we're good to go. Super pumped. Fresh unit alert. Donnie's finished up, cleaned up, and looking ready for LS Fest. So we still got to do a couple small things. I want to try to get this trim in. They left for the day and I left all the trim in their shop. So I was able to get these sill pieces in, you know, just try to dial it in just a little bit. But all in all, it came out really good. Garrett's really happy with it. He fits in it perfect. And I'm pumped to see this thing shred now. I mean, not like it didn't shred before, but now it's more safely shredding, I guess you could say. So that's it. Thanks guys for tuning in. I really appreciate it. I'm super pumped to have the opportunity to work on this car. And there's a couple more things I think that he wants me to do. So that'll be cool. I'll be working on some of his cars and Jeremy's cars and my car and all these crazy cars. It's fun. It's fun to know cool people with rad cars and be a part of it. So super pumped up. I came out exactly how he wanted it, and it was all in all a 4-day deal, so not so bad. We knocked it out, and next time you guys see this car, it's gonna be going sideways in Kentucky. Thanks for watching the Bayside Fabrication YouTube channel. Stay tuned for more builds and shenanigans and who else knows what. See you next time, guys.